What is up, guys? My name is Lex. Took a little rogue to the dog park. He's having fun running around a little bit. Today we are going to be playing 2-5 no limit. The reason for that is I feel like I just need a little bit of a break. I've been really pushing myself over the last 2 months to play higher and higher stakes. When I was in Vegas for the World Series of Poker, I was playing 10, 20, 40, a massive game against some crusher players. I then went out to LA and played a huge game on Hustler Live. I came back here to Florida and I was playing 10, 25 and 25, 50. I then just went to Texas recently and played a massive 10, 25, 50 game as well. All those big games creates huge swings to my bankroll. It creates a lot of stress, anxiety, and pressure as well. I like it. I want to play higher. I want to push myself, but sometimes you just need a little bit of a break. And today we're going to try to relax, play some 2-5 no limit, buy in for $1,000, maybe have some drinks, have some fun. We'll see if we can run good. Let's get down to the table. Let's get to the action. Let's go. We sit down at the table, and before I get my camera out, I immediately get into the action here. I have ace-10 of spades from early position. There's an under-the-gun raise to 25. I call next to act, and the button calls as well. 3 ways to jack, 7, 9, 2 spades. A great flop for us. We have 1 overcard, a gut shot straight draw, and the nut flush draw. Under the gun checks, and before I act, the button slides out a bet of $50. Because he bet out of turn, if I check, his $50 bet stands, so I decide to check. Now the button is made to bet $50. Under the gun folds, and with only about $200 left in his stack, I decide to just rip it all in. He doesn't like it, but he eventually calls. We run out the board, and the turn's an ace, and the river is a spade, giving us the nut flush, taking down a nice one right off the bat, our first hand here at Seminole Coconut Creek. After this hand, I look over at another table, and there's a fun action player I recognize from playing tournaments at the Hard Rock. I decide to get a table change and get on his table. There's a $10 straddle in this hand. There's 2 calls for $10, including the action player who's in the cutoff. There's a button raised to 20, and with pocket 8s in the small blind, I decide to go with an aggressive route here and 3-bet to $80. Cutoff calls $80, and the button calls as well. The board comes out queen, 6, 7, we're 3 ways, and a 3-bet pot, and we flop second pair. Any queen beats us, along with hands like pocket 10s and pocket jacks. I bet out $80 here, and the cutoff makes a quick fold, but the button, initial raiser, makes to call. A little bit worrisome here. I put him on potentially a queen, maybe even a smaller pocket pair to the board, but a bigger pocket pair than ours. The turn card's another queen, which I think is actually a pretty good card. Reduces the likelihood that he has a queen in his hand now that there's 2 on the board. However, I decide to slow down and check, and checking is not what he decides to do. He decides to bet out $125. So to be honest here, I was pretty sure I was beat. However, folding here on the turn would just be a little bit too tight. It's also possible that he's trying to bluff me for the vlog, because when I sat down, he told me he watches the videos. He knows I'm recording, so he maybe could be getting out of line here, trying to bluff me and show for the next video. So with that being said, facing a $125 bet, with pocket 8s, I think I can call and just evaluate here on the river. Possibly if an ace or a king comes out, I could maybe even turn my hand into a bluff and use that as a scare card. I throw in $125 and we see a 3 on the river. I check over to him and he instantly checks back. This could be great for us until he shows king queen for trips, and trip queens are going to beat 1 pair, and the button takes this one down. My plan for this day was to have a nice, easy, relaxing session playing 2-5 no limit here at Coconut Creek. However, the action player at my table is down a little bit of money and asking me if I want to play a new 5-10 game, and I'm never going to turn down playing higher stakes against an action player who may be tilted because he's stuck money. So I buy him for $2,500 and we get started here at the new 5-10 game. We get immediately into a pot here, our third hand at the table with king queen offsuit. The action player limps from the hijack. I raise to 50, small blind calls $50, and the hijack calls as well. Flop is jack 9-5. We have 2 overcards and a gut shot straight draw. When it checks to me, I decide to take a free card and check this one back, and the turn is a 10, giving us the nut straight, the best hand possible. Small blind, who called $50 out of position, now leads into me for $75. He has about $1,000 left in his stack, so I bump it up big. I make it $315 with the nuts, and he folds. We take this one down. You could argue that on this board, maybe just calling in position with the nuts would be the best play, but I would say on this particular board, he can have a ton of 2 pairs, he can have some sets, and also he could have a lower straight like 7-8 as well. So I like raising it up right away, trying to build this pot up in case I am coolering him and try to take him for the max here on the river. Unfortunately, this time he folds and we take down a small one. Next up, a solid player raises from the hijack. I decide to defend in the big blind with queen 5 of diamonds. It's a pretty loose play, but we're getting a decent price. I actually don't like this call versus a solid player. We're going to be out of position and we have a hand that could easily be dominated here. However, we see a good flop of 4, 6, 7 with 1 diamond. We're open-ended, 1 overcard, and backdoor flush draw. I decide to check, but I think one of the best plays here could be leading out as a semi-bluff. The hijack decides to check back, and now we see the queen on the turn, giving me top pair. We no longer need to bluff. However, this could be a great card for him to try to represent. He could try to bluff here with hands like Jack 10, Ace Jack, and Ace King that would check back the flop. When he bets $40, we have a very standard call with our top pair, weak kicker. A raise would be an overplay and a fold would be way too weak. The second card pairs on the river, another 7. I don't expect him to ever have trips here after checking back the flop in position. So when he bets $75, I snap call and he shows king queen for top pair king kicker. We have top pair 5 kicker and he takes this one down, which is exactly why playing queen 5 of diamonds versus a raise is probably not the best play. Moving on now, on the button with a beautiful suited Broadway, king of hearts, jack of hearts, there's a limp, I raised to 50, big blind calls 50, and the limper calls as well. 3 ways in position to a jack high board. On this super unconnected dry board, I make it $55. Big blind calls 55, but the limper makes it fold. Turn card's another jack, giving us trips with a king kicker. A great card because if he does have a jack like Jack 10, Jack 9, or Queen Jack, we are coolering him here, and if he has a smaller pocket pair to the board, he may not believe us and call down a little bit lighter. I size up to $205, but this time he folds and we take this one down. There has been some big pots going on at this table, but unfortunately we have not been involved in any of them. We're just kind of hovering a little bit around even now, maybe up $100 or down $100 until this next hand comes up where we have ace 10 of spades. I raised to $30 and the big blind calls, flopping top 2 pair on a rainbow board. Great flop for us. He checks, I bet 30, and he makes the call. Turn card is an ace, now giving us a full house. Aces full of 10s, the best possible hand you can have on this board. The big blind checks again, and I bet small, just $55 here, trying to keep him in there with his gut shot straight draws, his weaker 10x hands, or maybe even a hand like king 4 or queen 4 suited. The final card is a brick and he checks to me again, and I have to figure out what kind of sizing I want to use here on the river. I'm a big fan of watching and trying to learn from Garrett Adelstein. He plays high stakes poker on live streams in LA, and I try to think to myself sometimes when I'm in hands, what would Garrett do in this situation? Now, I'm not comparing myself to him. He is light years ahead of me, but if Garrett had a full house on the river in position, I think he would bet big, so that is what I do. The pot's around $230, and I throw out a $325 bet. A couple reasons for over betting here on the river is, one, my opponent doesn't look like the kind of player who likes to fold. I don't think he has trip aces here because I'm pretty sure he would check raise the turn if he did have that hand. I'm pretty sure he has a 10x holding, something like king 10, queen 10, or jack 10. I'm representing a super strong hand when I'm overbetting the size of the pot. Also, when I try to bluff, a lot of the time people just call me down, so might as well bet big when I actually have it. He goes into the tank for a while, and now I'm starting to regret this overbet on the river. Maybe I should bet something like $100 to try to get paid by a 10, but eventually, after a minute and a half of thinking, he throws in the chips. We're getting paid off here. We show the full house, and it's good, and we win about $1,000 pot. Unfortunately, after this hand, the action player decides to pick up his chips and leave, and his friend beside him, the same player I just played the last hand with, decides to leave as well. Now we're sitting here three-handed versus 2 other pros. There's no other names on the list, so the table ends up breaking. Unfortunately, we end up booking around a $300 win, but we're not done yet. While racking up my chips, I look over at the tournament clock and they're doing a nightly 6 p.m. $400 buy-in tournament with $10,000 guaranteed. It's level number 6, 3 minutes from end of registration, and there's only 14 players entered with $4,700 in the prize pool. That means there's going to be a $5,000 overlay for this event. The value in this tournament is just insane. To be able to play a $10,000 guaranteed tournament with less than 20 people is something that I'm not going to pass up. So I buy into the tournament, $400, level number 7. I have about 20 big blinds. The very first hand, I'm under the gun and look down at a premium ace-king offsuit. I raised a 2,000, which is a 2.2x raise, and the button, who has a little bit less chips than me, rips his entire stack in there. Small blind eventually folds and the big blind folds. We make the snap call and I have video. My opponent shows ace-3 suited, so we have him completely crushed. Over 40 big blinds in the middle. The flop is good. The turn gives him some extra outs, but the river is safe for us, and we end up stacking this guy our first hand of this $400 tournament, and we pick up a $100 bounty as well. We get paid the bounty in green chips, which I get to put in my pocket, and our stack is about 30,000 chips. We basically get a full double up our very first hand. Sitting pretty so far in the tournament. We're in level number 7. The prize pool is up $3,600 for first place, and there's only 14 players left. We just registered, and we're already almost down to the final table. With 13 players left, still in level number 7, this hand is pretty interesting. The big blind player just lost a pot and only has 300 chips remaining, which means he has a $100 bounty on his head with only 300 chips, so he's all in the dark. I have king-jack offsuit in the cutoff, definitely a hand I want to be raising. I make it 1,600 chips, which is a min-raise. The button makes the call, and now the small blind decides all of his chips are going in there. He rips it all in for about 13,000. The small blind's all in for roughly 16 big blinds. The big blind is all in the dark, and there's 2 bounties on their head, which means if I win this pot, I could take out 2 guys at the same time and make $200. With king-jack offsuit, we could be dominated, but we're flipping against a lot of smaller pocket pairs. We could also have my opponent crushed with a hand like king 10, jack 10, or queen jack. Given the fact that we're trying to build up a stack to try to win this tournament, I think an all-in is our best play. I jam it all in here for my entire stack, and the button makes the fold. We're all in here 3 ways. I show king-jack. The small blind has ace-7 offsuit, and the big blind, who is all-in blind, has ace-4 offsuit. So we're ahead here, around 40-ish% equity going to the flop. 6 high board, no help for us. King me! Straight. We had a lot of outs to win this one, but we just couldn't quite do it. Small blind wins with ace-7 making a straight. We still have some chips though remaining, around 14,000. The blinds go up. We're now in level number 8, 1,000 big blind now with only 11 players left, and we pick up another premium here on the button. Under the gun limps for 1,000, and we have jacks on the button. The 4th best hand you can get, but in a tournament with 14 big blinds, this is like aces. I raised to 3,000 chips, and now the big blind, who just doubled up in that big pot, rips it all in for over our entire stack. The under the gun player gets out of the way fairly quickly, and we have an easy snap call. This guy covers us, so now our tournament is on the line. We show pocket jacks, and he shows ace king. We are flipping here for our tournament life. Ah! Jack! Oh my god.
Oh, goodbye.
Oh. Alright, see you guys. We are out of the $400 nightly tournament. No $3,600 first prize for us. Pocket jacks getting cracked by ace king. I profit a little bit on this session, and the next day I decide to take the full day off poker. No tables for me. I head down to the beach, North Beach in Miami. It's one of my favorite beaches to go to. Usually it's not very crowded, but today it's pretty crowded. There's not many big buildings around. The water is nice, blue, and clear. The sand is amazing as well. It's a hot day today, around 92 degrees. I head on the beach, get into the water, have some drinks, relax, and take a nap, and enjoy a nice full rest day off the tables. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button and comment down below. And until next time, I'll see ya.